Welcome again to your Life Nuggets. And the theme of this nugget, Nugget 46, is the black telephone. But before we answer the black telephone, let's hear what Norman Vincent Peale has to say about it. One person can make a difference. You don't have to be a big shot. You don't have to have a lot of influence. You just have to have faith in your power to change things. And Keith Johnson reminds us that some people change the world and some people change the people who change the world, and that's you. Now let's hear what the black telephone has to say. The black telephone. Those of us old enough to remember when the phone was wired to the wall, usually in the kitchen, can relate to this story. When I was a young boy, my father had one of the first telephones in our neighborhood. I remember the polished old case fastened to the wall. The shiny receiver hung on the side of the box. I was too little to reach the phone, but used to listen with fascination when my mother talked to it. Then I discovered that somewhere inside the wonderful device lived an amazing person. Her name was Information Please. And there was nothing she did not know. Information Please could supply anyone's number and the correct time. My personal experience with the genie in a bottle came one day while my mother was visiting a neighbor. Amusing myself at the tool bench in the basement, I whacked my finger with a hammer. The pain was terrible, but there seemed no point in crying because there was no one home to give sympathy. I walked around the house, sucking my throbbing finger, finally arriving at the stairway. The telephone! Quickly, I ran for the footstool in the parlor and dragged it to the landing. Climbing up, I unhooked the receiver in the parlor and held it to my ear. Information, please, I said into the mouthpiece just above my head. A click or two and a small clear voice spoke into my ear. Information. I hurt my finger, I wailed into the phone. The tears came readily enough now that I had an audience. Isn't your mother home? Came the question. Nobody's home but me, I blubbered. Are you bleeding? The voice asked. No, I replied. I hit my finger with a hammer and it hurts. Can you open the icebox? She asked. I said I could. Then chip off a little bit of ice and hold it to your finger, said the voice. After that, I called Information Please for everything. I asked her for help with my geography, and she told me where Philadelphia was. She helped me with my maths. She even told me that my pet chipmunk that I had caught in the park just the day before would eat fruit and nuts. Then there was the time Pete, our pet canary, died. I called Information Please and told her the sad story. She listened and then said things grown-ups say to soothe the child. But I was not consoled. I asked her, why is it that birds could sing so beautiful and bring joy to all families, only to end up as a heap of feathers on the bottom of a cage? She must have sensed my deep concern, for she said quietly, Wayne, always remember that there are other worlds to sing in. Somehow, I felt better. Another day, I was on the telephone. Information, please. Information, said the now familiar voice. Information, can you tell me how to spell fix? I asked. All of this took place in a small town in the Pacific Northwest. When I was 9 years old, we moved across the country to Boston. I missed my friend very much. Information, please, belonged in that old wooden box back home, and I somehow never thought of trying the shiny new phone that sat on the table in the hall. As I grew into my teens, the memories of those childhood conversations never really left me. Often, in moments of doubt and perplexity, I would recall the serene sense of security I had then. Oh, how I appreciate now how patient, understanding, and kind she was to have spent her time on a little boy. A few years later, on my way west to college, my plane put down in Seattle. I had about half an hour or so between planes. I spent 15 minutes or so on the phone with my sister who lived there now. Then, without thinking what I was doing, I dialed my hometown operator and said, "Information, please." Miraculously, I heard the small, clear voice I knew so well. Information. I hadn't planned this, but I heard myself saying, "Could you please tell me how to spell fix?" There was a long pause. Then came the soft-spoken answer. "I guess your finger must have healed by now." I laughed. "So it's really you," I said. "I wonder if you have any idea how much you meant to me during that time." "I wonder," she said, "if you know how much your calls meant to me. I never had any children, and I used to look forward to all your calls." I told her how often I had thought of her over the years and asked if I could call her again when I came back to visit my sister. "Please do," she said. "Just ask for Sally." 3 months later, I was back in Seattle. I phoned again with expectation, but this time a different voice answered. "Information." I asked for Sally. "Are you a friend?" she said. "Yes, a very old friend," I answered. "I'm sorry to have to tell you this," she said. Sally had been working part-time the last few years because she was sick. She died 5 weeks ago. Before I could hang up, she said, "Wait a minute, did you say your name was Wayne?" "Yes," I answered. "Well, Sally left a message for you. She wrote it down in case you called. Let me read it to you." The note said, "Tell him there are other worlds to sing in. He'll know what I mean." I thanked her and hung up. I knew what Sally meant. Never underestimate the impression you make on others. Whose life have you touched today? Someone shared their life's mission with me, and it reads as follows. "I'll always be there for anyone who needs me. I'll always be a helping hand or a listening ear, because I know what it's like to believe that no one cares. I know what it's like to feel alone, suffocated in your own thoughts. I know how just one person can change someone's life. I'm here for anyone that needs me, just to prove that compassion still exists. I'm here for you. Always remember, nobody is too small to make a big difference. Always remember, you are the beloved of God. May He bless you and keep you. Till next time, love and regards, Charles Butter. For more inspiration, you are more than welcome to visit our Live Light community pages on Facebook as well as our Live Light community channel on YouTube.